Hello and welcome back to Freedom Revamp if you've been here before, and simply welcome if it is your first time. My name is Kourtney. I am the owner and founder. If you don't know what Freedom Revamped is, we are a platform dedicated to helping individuals discover identity, pursue purpose, and define internal freedom. You are here watching our Illuminate series where we highlight entrepreneurs, authors, musicians, etc. about their various ventures. And I am super excited today because we have the founder and owner of one of my favorite brands, Bad Girl, Good Human.
Hi. Hi, guys. My name is Orixa. I am the founder of Bad Girl, Good Human. It is a lifestyle brand that encourages women to embrace their duality and their multi-dimensions because I feel that we're often placed in boxes and we can only do one thing and not the other when that's not true. We're made up of so many different layers just as like women. Like before we even step into the world and like become who we want to become, like just as a woman, we're so many things to so many people. And you're not going to put me in a box. So that's why I created Bad Girl Good Human.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that introduction. We're going to get a little bit more into that later, but our viewers know that it is tradition here at Freedom Revamp that we start off by asking each of our guests how they define freedom. So that is the first question I have for you.
How do I define freedom? At first, I thought freedom had to do with like was directly correlated to like money. And I still feel like there is a portion of freedom that is like a little bit correlated with money, but for me now, freedom is getting up and doing like deciding to do what I love every day despite um the challenges or the obstacles or hell even the opinions of what other people might say. Like that's freedom to me, whether it's going to work a 9 to 5 or choosing to go the independent route and just doing it on your own. That's what freedom is to me.
Awesome. I love that definition. I would say I've heard a few of our guests say something similar to that. So, this next question kind of breaks that down even further because I know for me, with freedom being something that I didn't experience my entire life because, we have societal standards or the standards from our parents. We
Mm-hmm.
almost have to like revamp our mind in order to get on that destination or that journey of freedom because I feel like it's not just a destination, it's something that we have to continually practice. So, with your definition in mind, how do you practice freedom? Like, how do you go about living intentionally in your life?
I practice freedom. I practice freedom by allowing myself to like I said to do and feel whatever that is day by day. Like I don't try to take on, you know, months ahead, or weeks ahead. Of course, there are some things that are like, oh, I plan to do this at this time. I plan to do this at this time. But I really just practice freedom by waking up and seeing how I feel first, and then going about my day according to how I feel. You know, as some may know, I still press and make all of my orders. We're transitioning out of that, but I still do that. And for me, I won't touch an order or anything if I'm not sound on the inside. Like I just won't. Not only because it'll cost me money because I start fucking shit up, but um it also doesn't feel right to me to send something out that isn't done from a place of like, I guess like zen or just like a calm space. So that is how I practice freedom. Tuning in with myself in the morning, seeing how I feel, and then going about my day from there.
Yeah. That's something I'm learning how to do, is to actually allow myself to feel my emotions, because for so long I was just like, nope, can't feel it. It's too overwhelming. But it's really a good thing when we allow ourselves to feel it, because it helps us understand ourselves more and how to navigate whatever those emotions
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Listening is so prime. Listening to yourself is so prime. That's one thing about myself that I noticed early on, is that I listen to people to understand. Like, I really listen with intent to understand where someone is coming from, and all of that. But in return, I was like, I wasn't paying attention to myself.
Yeah.
And of course, that leads to other things. When you don't pay attention to yourself, you end up in situations and things where it's like, how did I get here? Well, you didn't listen to yourself. So the older I got, and the even with Bad Girl Good Human, Bad Girl Good Human taught me so much. Even with this, it's like, no, pay attention to yourself, because
Mhm.
that is probably the thing that you should be doing.
Yeah. That's good. So I do want to ask, because you pretty much told us what Bad Girl Good Human is already, but what inspired you to actually create this brand, and what pushed you to do it? Because a lot of people, they'll have that inspiration, but they'll hold back on it and be like, no, I don't think this is for me to do. So what inspired you, and what actually pushed you to move forward?
So, um, it was a lack. It was a lack of that type of like essence in my own life. Um, I remember early on, like the teenage years, feeling again like this not multiple personalities, but just this multi-dimensional person. And I found myself like shuffling a lot, like trying to just do one thing or just be one thing for the comfort of other people and not for myself.
Mhm.
And aside from that, just a lack of having the room, like the room to move, and the room to expand as a person. And with that, it carried through from, again, like teenage years to adult years. And I began to subconsciously like curate these spaces visually with like Tumblr and like Pinterest boards. But I didn't know that I was doing that until a friend pointed it out. He was like, have you noticed that the spaces that you gravitate to, or the imagery that you gravitate to, is something that you don't have on your own yet? Like, you don't have that yet. And I was like, wow, like that makes so much sense. So from that, that's how the world of Bad Girl Good Human like got created, just by the lack of having the room to expand, and feeling like I am this multidimensional person, and I don't have the room to be that. And that is where it came from. And what was the push? The push was when I was out in my first apartment. I moved to my first apartment, and it was a roommate situation. And of course, it was so hard. It was so hard. It was so hard. It was my first time out of the house, and I didn't have a safety net or anything. But even with me being out for maybe about 8 months, that situation came to an end. But I had a decision to make. Either I was gonna go back home, because I'm from LA. Like, I'm a native here, so I could just go back home easily. But I had a decision to make. It's like, either you're going to go back home, because you can go back home, you can always go back home, but you will be 100 steps behind from where you are. And of course, right now it feels like you're not that far, but you actually are a little bit further than when you started. than when you started. So you either go back to comfort, or you make yourself uncomfortable. And that was the tipping point of me choosing to be uncomfortable. I chose to be out couch surfing for 8 months, and chose Bad Girl Good Human. And here I am. I had to choose to be uncomfortable.
Well, shout out to you for choosing to be uncomfortable, because I don't think a lot of creatives such as yourself, I don't think you understand how impactful your platform is for so many people, including myself. So I feel like had you not done that, I always tell my guests, you probably would have been hindering someone in your audience from receiving whatever it is they needed to receive from your platform.
Yeah. Yeah, I think about that all the time. Like, if I wasn't, had I not made that decision at that time, I would not, I wouldn't even be the person, not even like, not even to say about business, but just me as a person. I wouldn't even be the person that I am had I not made that decision. That was hard. It was a really hard decision to choose to go and be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, essentially, I wasn't homeless, but I didn't have no like real place to call home. I just went, through different friends, and it was so difficult. It was so difficult, man. No car. I didn't have a car at the time. My car had just like let out on me, so I didn't have a car. I didn't have a real place to like call home for real. But I kept going, and nobody knew that. Like, I was packing orders out of my friend's closet, like in her living room, like packing orders out of your friend's living room, and just trying to figure it out.
But yeah, I do feel like things that are hard in the beginning are so worth it in the end because all that hard work really pays off. And it's something that I've definitely seen. I didn't know what you went through to get to where you are now, but now that you're talking about it, I can definitely see all the hard work has paid off for you in the end, for sure. So, one thing that really stood out to me was actually the name of your platform. And I'm always interested in how people name their platform. So, how did you come up with the name Bad Girl, Good Human?
Okay. So I don't think of myself as a writer. I jot down my thoughts and my feelings. Like, sometimes it's not even like a paragraph, it's like a couple of words.
Mm-hmm.
And Bad Girl Good had been in my head. So let's go back. While I was like in my first apartment, I feel like I journal a lot there. Just because I was going through so much internally, like growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Bad Girl Good just in my head over and over again. Bad Girl Good, Bad Girl Good. One day I wrote it down, but I think I wrote citizen instead of human. And I'm like, I don't like that. And then I just like left it alone, you know?
Yeah.
And then one night I was with some girlfriends. It was a Friday night downtown LA. And we met up and, doing what girls do, talking, wine, food. And shout out to my girl, Lacey. I don't know if you know who Lacey Jordan is. She's a graphic designer.
Mm-hmm.
Love her. She was in the room that night. And we get to talking, and she looks at me. She's like, girl, you like what? Like, you're such a goody two shoes. I wouldn't think that you were like those things or into certain things. And I'm like, yeah, girl, like I have my nipple pierced. She was like, what? You have your what? I'm like, yes. Yes. Like, just because I don't put it on Front Street doesn't mean that I'm not into certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we were talking about like sex and like stuff like that. She was just shocked because I'm the friend that doesn't do anything. Like, I don't smoke, I don't drink. I might drink wine, but I don't take shots, like nothing like that.
Yeah.
So she was really shocked. And I was like, girl, I'm like a bad girl, good citizen. That was the first time saying it out loud. And then Janine across from me, she was like, not citizen, human. Like a bad girl, good human. And I've never felt love at first sight. That moment, I swear to God, I was like, that was the piece that was missing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I needed to say it out loud to someone to like make it all come together. And from that point on, it was history. Like, it was literally history. But I sat on it for from that night, I sat on the idea for like 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't move on it. I did not move on it until I was at my lowest point. is when I started to write down what Bad Girl Good Human actually meant to me for real. And like the people that I could see in it, peers, friends, celebrity, and those same girls that were in that room that night, I like, when I put out like my first mission, like the mission statement for it, I sent it to them and they were like, oh, that's tight. And I was like, okay, December 15th, that's going to be the day I launch it. It was just random. I was like, what? I'm just going to launch it on December 15th because at that time, it would have given me a month to like get things in order with what I had. Because mind you, I was still working at a restaurant. So, you know, that's like, I'm getting $300 every 2 weeks and I'm getting tips in between, but still that money goes so fast when you don't have any money. Yeah. So I figured it out, and like that is how the Bad Girl Good Human was commenced.
Well, I love it. It just really stood out to me when I first ran across your page. I was like, let me see what this is about. And I'm like, yes, it's perfect. So your Instagram bio says embrace your duality. And I think you touched on this earlier, but can you go a little bit more in depth into what that actually means and why it's important to you?
So going back to the beginning, it always goes back to the beginning. I'm starting to notice that. Like, it always goes back to the beginning. But just in the beginning of this conversation, just us as women, we're so many things. And me being a woman and shutting off certain parts of myself to please others and to just like kind of fit in, it screwed me. Like, I screwed myself over so many times from like making myself small for other people. And as I was like, again, expanding with Bad Girl Good Human, because I feel like I've grown with it, if that makes sense. Yeah. That was so important. Like those 3 words are so important. Embrace your duality. Embrace your duality, because if you don't, I feel the quality of your life will be limited if you don't. Like, man, like even in my personal life, just seeing how limited some people's quality of life is just because they won't embrace or acknowledge certain parts of themselves. And it's not all good. Embracing your duality is not all good. It's the bad shit too. You know, it's the not so good things, but it's like once you acknowledge those parts of yourself, I personally feel like you can be relinquished. You can be free from anyone else trying to come in and point the finger, because you've already not pointed the finger at yourself, but you've looked at yourself and been like, okay, I see this and I see that, but we're going to take what we've been exposed to and what we see, and we're going to make diamonds out of this. Like, we're going to make diamonds out of this. So, yeah, that's what that means for me, and why it's so imperative to do that.
Yeah, I think I've heard people talk about being multifaceted, which is very similar to duality, but I feel like I more so hear that in the entrepreneur arena. They never really talk about it as just
a person
being, as just a person. So when I read it, I was like, I've never heard it worded like this. So that was definitely something I wanted to get your insight on and why you decided to use that specific wording. So another thing I want to touch on is your progress. We talked about, the beginning stages and how you decided on the name, how you decided on the mission of the brand. But how has your brand and your community progressed since you started
it? It has progressed so much in ways that I didn't even think. I feel the best way to answer this is it has progressed to the point where people are getting tattoos on them now. That is the best way I could describe it. It's gone from, oh, I love this so much, to, oh, this is for life.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not think that it would turn into what it's turned into. I honestly, because I did it without any expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I really did this without an expectation. And because of that, I mean, it's changed my life. It's definitely changed my life, because I went in just with just something pure, just something really pure and authentic and parallel to what is my life, and how I feel. And now it's way bigger than me, and that's why I can't stop. Even when it's hard, even when I'm sitting over here like, what am I gonna put out? I don't know what to put out. Right now, I'm like, I don't know, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna put out? I don't know. I can't stop. I cannot, because it's conversations like this that wouldn't be had if I just stopped. So.
Well, I'm going to be here rooting for you as always. And if I see you post about something, I'm going to be like, hold up, let me send her this clip where she just said she can't stop. But so what has been the proudest moment? And that's probably pretty hard to say, because so many things, you've accomplished so many things, but what has been your proudest moment since starting your platform?
One of my proudest moments since starting is being able to have my little brother be here for parts of my journey. If anybody who knows me or follows me on my regular account, my little brother is my pride and joy. I adore him so much. So much. And that is one of my proudest moments, is having sharing moments, I guess milestones with him. He was here at my house around Christmas time, and that is when I transitioned from having my pieces done by other people, and then me doing them. And he was here when I made the first terracotta t-shirt. When I decided to do it, he was here, and he came out of my room, and I asked him about my shirt. And I was like, what do you think about this? He was like, it looks really cool. I like it. It looks really cool. And I was like, oh my God. So that is a milestone in itself for me, having him here and seeing it. And he also was with me when I moved into my office. He helped push my plants in on a dolly. He was with me in the moving in process. So that was big for me too. For him, it's important for him to see, look, the progress. You were with me when I was doing the pressing the stuff inside the living room. You were here when I pressed my first shirt and was testing it out. You were here and you saw this. Now you're seeing your sister move into another space, because it's gotten too big to be inside the house now. You were here to see that. That is so important to me. So important. And I'm sad because I'm not sad, but I can't even say what my next proudest moment is, because I would probably get sued. But I'll say this. My second proudest moment, or my other proudest moment currently, is being able to see my stuff hung in a store.
Okay. Got it. And I love how your first proudest moment, because I'm super family oriented, so I love how you immediately thought of your brother. I'm like, Kourtney, don't cry over here, because hearing that and seeing how passionate you were talking about it, it truly shows not only the relationship you two have, but how much you love your brother and how much you love the support he has for you, and vice versa. So I was over here like, oh, let me hold it together.
That's my baby. That's my baby. I could talk about him all day.
I'm gonna cry. But so since we've covered all of that and where you guys currently are, where do you see Bad Girl Good Human in the future? And when I ask this question, I'm talking about like collaborations, partnerships, etc. And when you answer it, I don't want you to say, I hope this happens. I always tell my guests to speak it as if they know it's going to happen.
Right.
So
it's like I said, it's so hard to say because I can't say anything because it is the near future. So I literally can't say anything. But how can I word this? Like,
or
I
is
see,
there,
I
is
see,
there, oh.
I think, okay, I see Bad Girl Good Human in the near future at a very pivotal point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a very pivotal point for the business, and it's going to catapult it into a space that, again, I did not see it coming, but it is coming. And it'll be the biggest rollout today.
Well, I'll just tell our community to stay tuned, and I'm going to be staying tuned. So, the last question I have for you, because this has been such an amazing interview and it's given me more insight into your brand because I was already keeping up with it. But for those of our viewers who might not have known about your brand, they are clearly living under a rock. But how can they join your community and support Bad Girls Good Human?
This is always so weird. These questions are always so weird for me because it's like, how do you even answer a question like that? But you can join the community by following. You can follow at Bad Girl Good Human, but you can also just practice it in your daily life. That's how you can join the community truly. Like, it's one thing to follow and keep up with the brand and see the content, but the real support and community are the ones who I feel, aside from people buying stuff, because that is real support too, but it's a step further when you like decide and commit.
Yeah.
When you decide to live in your truth and not care about what anyone else has to say about it, that's how you join the community for real.
Awesome. Well, this has truly been a pleasure and an honor to be able to talk to you about your brand. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us today. To our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to keep up with Bad Girl Good Human across every social media platform. And as she said, be sure to live the lifestyle on a daily basis. That is all for today. And until next time, continue to practice freedom.
Thank you.